Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Top of the morning to you. I don't know where in the world, but I hope you are doing well. I am so excited for today because this person has literally, I mean, if anyone is anybody on Clubhouse, like, you know who this person is. She is so big running these high-powered rooms. She got time for us today to little old me. She was literally on like a podcast today with Grant Cardone, I think. So I'm so excited to have one of the most after and leading modern luxury branding strategist who work with the VIPs to be here with today to talk about personal branding, luxury branding, business branding. What does it all mean in 2021? Why do you need it? And I'm so excited. Jaylissa, I'm so happy that you came to our community, that you're here, that you gave us time out of your busy schedule. So everybody, let's give a round of applause to have her here. And why don't you give us like the 10 to 15 second like elevator pitch on what you do, how you serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here and in your space and in your community as well. I've heard so many great things about your community and how tight-knit that is, and that's very amazing, right? So my name is Jaylissa Lea, and I am a personal brand strategist for CEO and entrepreneurs, like you've said. And what I do is help them rethink what is modern luxury to them, how to show up as a luxury brand, and ultimately to get features so that they get exposure to what their story is beyond what they do for their business, because a lot of people just know them for what they do, and when it comes to that their identity, and they're just like, I'm not sure what it is that I actually stand for. So, and the personal brand, like you said, it's the future. So I'm excited to be able to be part of these projects. I think you're muted.
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of buzzwords going around. There's personal branding, there's creator branding, and just let's get down for those of us who don't really understand like the difference. To me, like personal branding is something that maybe if you're like a public figure there that you need to, but you're saying everybody needs a personal. Get down for us. Why is it so that we know what a personal branding is, first of all, and why we need to pursue that?
Yeah, absolutely. So personal branding, it's all about, it's something that we all have already. Like a lot of us think that it's only for celebrities, it's only for people that are famous already, right? But we all have a personal brand. It's just how people talk about you when you're not in the room. Essentially, it's just your reputation. Literally, you have a brand. If you're breathing, you have a brand. It's just how other people see you or view you as. And so,
okay, so PR goes to that, right? Because you're how people talk about you.
Exactly. And that's like a very important point that you brought up, is the PR is really how you're known. And if you are the narrative of your story, you're giving the power to yourself rather than to other people, right? So I think that's a really important reminder to think about. And everyone is a luxury brand because there's only one of you. And so the word celebrity, as Tim Storey would say, is to be celebrated. And we're all deserve to be celebrated.
Yes, I love energy. Thank you so much for that. Everybody type in the comments if this vibe is right for this Friday. I'm just getting so much uplift from that. You are worthy. There's only one of you. Therefore, you are a celebrity and deserve to be celebrated. Yes.
Absolutely.
So now that we kind of got the misconceptions that like only celebrity or people who are influencers need a personal. How do we go about? Well, actually no. Let's talk about the biggest misconceptions first and what people get wrong about personal branding.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, well, first of all, when we're just talking about why is it so important, why do you even need one? A lot of people are like, I don't want to be seen, or I don't want to be out there. But 90% of the people, even if they're referred, they're going to, first thing they do is Google you. If you don't have that online presence, people won't trust you. It doesn't matter who you are, which is why a lot of luxury brands, they're failing because they refuse to put themselves online. They think it's less prestigious. And so now they become irrelevant, right? And so with that, now I'm like forgetting the original question. Sorry.
What people get wrong about personal branding when they start to like go down this avenue, what should they not do?
Yeah, the misconception is so many. First of all, it's thinking you don't have a brand, which is not true, what we just discussed. And the branding is all about the exterior, is how other people, see you, which is one thing. But a lot of people just think it's a logo or aesthetics, and that's it. But a lot of it is especially me as a strategist, it's all about figuring out who you are, what your story is, especially you in PR. You're never just going to talk about someone because of the things they have achieved, right? But the juicy part of the article or the piece that's out there, it's about how they got there. It's their story that makes it so memorable. You have to allow someone to write something about you rather than just, showing off what it is that you have. Anybody can get those things, but your story and experience, only you went through that. So I think that's
beautiful.
Another misconception is just people thinking like, it's about them. And like I was saying, even very well in PR, it's not about you. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to be famous or, a celebrity or influencer or whatever. It's about your story, your message that you can use to make an impact. So even with Gloria, it's never about you. It's about the work that you do by edifying and getting your clients the exposure. It's being able to help other people be seen for more than what they're currently doing. So it's a message that you're presenting to others.
So would you say personal branding kind of a value that's always there? No matter who, it's like something we all have, right? Worth, whatever it is, like identity. And then would you say that PR and kind of what I do as a vehicle is an avenue to kind of make that actualized, operationalized? Like, does that make sense? Okay, awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. So now that
I'll share my screen,
yes, please. I'm so excited for that.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
girl came prepared.
I know. I'm like, I don't know how you want this to work because I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I've never been on this this platform before, so bear with me.
By the way, type in the comments. If you have any questions for Jaylissa, and also where you are coming in, because I can't see your name. So just drop your message and who you are, so that way we can give them love.
Absolutely. Let's see.
I think the button that says share.
Okay. There we go. Are you seeing it now?
Yep. So I'm going to add it to the stream. There we go. Yeah.
So we went over a little bit about, I think what you said, that was really interesting is that, what I like, this is exactly what Grant Cardone said yesterday when I interviewed him I was like, what contributes to the success of your personal brand? Because he was always hustling, right? Doing a lot of these things, but it wasn't until like the last, decade, he kind of exploded. And I was like, what contribute into that success? It's that your personal brand obviously is the foundation. You need to know clarity, what your core values are, your non-negotiable, your standards, your boundaries, your vision, your goals, your purpose, to your why. But no one is going to see that until you get that exposure, which is through PR or getting into people's podcasts. And he told me it's like getting, onto my podcast, seeing new faces, tapping into new communities, getting on the press, getting in all of these opportunities that really exposed his brand, that made him so successful. Because if you just have this knowledge and you don't implement it or do something about it, no one's going to know you. No one's going to go look for you. You have to strategically place yourself and be visible for other people to attract them to you. So we were just talking about what your question was all about. What was the person? Why is it important? Yeah. So it's like what we're saying, it's the future, right? Like the personal brand is kind of like the future of how we're operating. If you can tell, everything is shifting more towards a human, because it's so much easier to connect with humans than it is with product or services. So now with Facebook, it went to Instagram, which is all like photo based. With Instagram, it went to TikTok, which is all video based, but it's really based on that person. You have to show up as that person, right? And then with Clubhouse, you as the CEO, you have to show up. You can't have your assistant do it. You can't have one of your employees do it. So now it's really shifting the power from the product side to the individual, which is why a lot of companies now invest in influencers, personal brands to advertise for their product, because it's easier to communicate with people than it is with products. And the other thing is that you're able to be more flexible. So as a personal brand, people love to follow your journey. I mean, how many of us follow influencers or celebrities and watch their stories just to see what they're doing behind the scenes? Because it makes you so much more relatable, right? And all these people that we know, like Gary Vee, Oprah, Tony Robbins, all have a really, really big personal brand that feeds into their business brands. If you ever look into their brands, their personal brand have way higher following than their business brands, because it's easier to connect with the person. Once you're sold, once you sell yourself, basically what your values are, and people align with you, like you and your community, Gloria, is that people will buy into things that you offer. So you want to sell yourself first before you even offer anything. So I really believe in, the work that you do and getting the exposure for the person, because it's easier to do a press on a person rather than a product or a thing. So I don't know if you have like questions you want to keep like asking. I love to bounce around.
I think a lot of the founder, I think people know this, right? They know that people buy people, but then I still hear people like, oh, I want exposure, but I don't want to be on video, or I know I'm destined for greatness, but I don't want to put myself out there. So we live in this paradox where it's like, in order for you to be out there, go bigger with your message, you need to be on video. That's non-negotiable. The moment I decided to be on video, my biz got way more exponentially grown, right? So what do you have to say for people who they know they're destined to make impact and they're here for a mission, but they're afraid to put themselves out there? How do they overcome?
That's a really good question, because I'm such an introvert. It took me a really long time to finally, build a personal brand. And at the time, I didn't even think about building a personal brand. My first brand was all about yoga, because I was healing, my anxiety and depression through yoga and meditation. And then once I was healing and getting away from the medication, that's when I realized, like, hey, like if I can do this, other people can do this without suffering from the side effects of medication. And then once I started posting my journey, a lot of people gave me feedback, thanking me how amazing it was to receive that message that I sent out, or the caption that I sent out today, because they were on the edge of suicide or whatever it is that they were really going through hardship. And it's those feedback that kept me going. And then it forced me to get on camera, get on video, like you're saying. Once I got on video, people got to know me as my personality, but beyond just, reading a book. And I'm sure when you read a book, you're like, I wonder what it's like when that person actually read it, right? And you get to know that person. It doesn't matter how far they are. It could be across the globe, how old they are. If they connect with your message and you guys are aligned, that relationship, that community that you build is so far beyond just a little a fear of like 10-second fear of getting into, showing your face and stuff. And what I've been taught by my coach, who also coaches, Les Brown and his marketing team, is that when you're worried about how you look on camera, or what you're saying or how you come off, you're actually thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about other people. Once you start thinking about how your message impact the other person, even if it's one person and you've impacted them, you've changed their perception or trajectory of their life, that drive is so much more motivating, and you start to forget about what it is that you look like. Obviously, look decent. But at the end of the day, when you make an impact, it's not going to be because of your look. It's going to be because of your message.
I love that so much, because that is the core of it. I think we're so worried what we're going to sound like, or this journalist is not going to like my story. You're basically preventing the value that you have from being shared. You don't get to control how people receive it. All you can do is to act from a place of intention, which is that that people can benefit from story in its current form. It may be imperfect, impolished, but making that decision to people and being like, I don't like this, or you're basically cutting them off from the benefit they can receive. And I love what you said. It's about deflecting and taking the attention away from yourself and how you're going to be judged, and just being like, I'm here to serve, and have everything come from that intention. So that's so beautifully said. Thank you so much for saying that.
Of course. And the reason why I say it, because I I'm such an introvert, and it wasn't until I received these messages and I realized, like, oh my God, I'm here to serve. It's not even about me. Like, people really don't care. There's times where I've cried on camera because it was a heartfelt message or whatever it is. And I don't even cry in front of people in general, but it's whatever that message that the recipient got from you, and you getting that feedback of building those relationships and the community that is yours, like this one. I mean, how do you feel, Gloria, having a community like this?
I could not have done it without putting myself out there. That's for sure. And I bet you that when you did have that video, you got more responses and it loaded whatever kind of message, and even if you weren't trying to have any business gain from it, you invited more people into your world because you were able to draw that bridge of connection.
Exactly. So I've never met anybody that's like, oh, I really regret building a community. It sucks. Like, right. It's just like a community of support where you don't feel alone anymore. Even if, even if you're serving others, once you find more people like you, your whole life, starts to expand, and you start to attract these energy and these same people that are on the same vibration. And you begin to be so passionate about your work because of the fact that you realize you're not alone. And a lot of us, whether we admit it or not, we always think that we're alone, that we're the only one that's thinking this way, we're crazy, whatever it is. But once you put yourself out there, you're like, wow, like there's a lot of crazy people like me then. Like, I really
Yes. And it's not the ego, right? I think, building this Facebook community was, I didn't even to actually build it. I wanted to actually the Facebook off and close Facebook group after I did my challenge. And Emmy knows this. But then I was like, that is coming from a scarcity mindset of, what if people expect too much from me? What if people, and then I just kept going with my gut. And it was like I'm going to do what feels good. I like interviewing people. I'm going to keep doing it. And then so many people, the right people came into my community. And the people who are only here to get like free stuff, they want me to keeping their pit for free. Like they naturally just slow dissipate. But people buy for leaders. We're all looking to see who is our tribe. Remember that book? Unless you show yourself, unless you put yourself out there, won't know who to follow and who to not follow, right? So if you show out there, you're going to repel some people, but they're your people, and that's beautiful. I don't want to be everyone's cup of tea. It's just exhausting. So that's such a good thing. Do you have another slide or?
Yeah, absolutely. I love dialogues. That's why if anything ever comes up, just let me know. So why a luxury personal brand? And I love everything that you just said. It's really how you felt. You weren't operating from a place where, you were worrying about who's going to show up, how many people, which is why a lot of us don't show up, because we're like, what if I go on live and like literally nobody's there? I am like obsessed with live. Sometimes, honestly, there's a couple people and I still do it because it's like, hey, now there's 2 people on here, 3 people. Imagine that in your room. That's a lot of people already, right? And we're just obsessed with someone I just interviewed this morning. He's a 9-figure entrepreneur, and he told me all about how there's this thing called hungry ghost, where you chase the external validation and it's never ending. And this is the whole point of modern luxury that is different from traditional luxury, which is all about, fame, status, monetary values, and materials. But now, after globalization, mass production, these things are not considered luxury because it's not rare anymore. You can just click a button and you have things to your doorstep by Amazon. So what is really luxury now is giving power back into the people, which is, experiences, connections, relationships that you build, memories that you build. And so being more intentional, like you're saying, you're not building something that is for other people because of the number you want to be famous. You are building it because you intentionally want to feel good by doing things that makes you feel good, right? And so that's the whole idea of shifting, looking for external validation, where we're always in this rat race of trying to prove ourselves for other people rather than this internal validation. I'm going to do it because I have intention in it and I want to do good. And so why building a luxury personal brand and not just any brand is that, like, knowing that anybody that is that, like we're saying, I've said before, you yourself is already a luxury brand. And by being you, the only person that you are, with that mindset, with the brain, with the perspective that you have, with the story and experiences, you're already a luxury brand. So embodying that, because how you treat yourself will show other people how, like, who you are, what you stand for, and that will also train other people to treat you. So if you already have a personal brand, and I'm sure you've seen these brands where they will just take on anybody, any project, they're holding on a random toothpaste that they probably don't even use, versus there's personal brands where you really respect, right? And they only work with quality brands, and you build that trust and you start buying everything that they put out, because you know they're not going to represent it unless it's good, and unless it actually feeds their soul and not just their wallets. So by having a luxury brand, you stand out a lot more, and you're more likely to get into the press because it's based on your heart, your passion. So why settle for less when you should be valued more? And a lot of people don't realize there's luxury brands for products. There's luxury brands for services. Like there's high-end hotels, low-end, hotels. There's Walmart, there's Chanel. Why not be Chanel and Tom Ford, whatever it is that you believe in when you come out? Because it's just like a strategy. Because once you see yourself as a low-end, whatever, that's not worth it. What are the chances of you getting featured versus if you are really putting your 100% out there? And that's a lot of times like how I ended up, working with a lot of my clients that ends up, on the press as well. It's getting their personal brand. And I'm sure, it's getting their story correctly, how to build that story where it's intentional, it's purposeful, it has value beyond just what it is that you do.
I love that. And I think to bring it down to an actual example, when you said, when I started building my business, right, you are so just hungry to build your business that, I said yes to everything, everyone. And as I got super clear on what I could deliver, and people started getting amazing results. We have an entire Slack channel here at GCR with testimonials, like entire channel that I'm like, I started to say no to people, and I started to be very about how I use my time and who I want to with. And I actually had to fire a couple of clients because they're just not my type of people. They were the people who really needy, who didn't think they could do it, and put all the outcome on me. And then that to me felt like luxury, being able to say no. Yeah. Felt so freeing, right? So to me, that's luxury.
That's the most luxurious word in modern luxury lounge. I need to create a whole vocabulary, but literally if I have a vocabulary book or a dictionary, it'll just be like, no, 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 and no, in so many different ways. Because we're so taught to say yes to everything. You don't want to miss out an opportunity. That comes from a scarcity mindset. Right? And once you start to realize, the first thing that I do with my clients in personal brand is setting their standards and their boundaries. These things aren't even taught in school. And what kind of luxury brands do you see that gets people walked all over them, right? They always have standards. They never lower their prices for anybody, because if you can't afford it, then don't come in, or whatever it is. They're never going to go on sale because someone can't afford it. And so once you have that standards and you protect your energy, people respect you so much more, and you begin to attract more clients that you actually want to work with, because now you're not a garbage disposal where you just take in everybody. Now you're very selective, and the people that want to work with you are really going to respect you for what you do. And I'm sure you are the same way. Once you said no, it's scary, right? And then once you say no a couple times, you're like, actually, no, 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 and no.
Yeah. Every time I raise my prices, I get more people joining me, and it's the right people, because it's the people who understand that in order to do art and really to be a leader, you're not if you're not able to allocate funds or feel this is something that is worth your attention, then maybe you shouldn't be featured. It takes a certain level of gumption. It takes a certain level of trust in yourself and accountability that you're actually going to implement what I give you. And so if you're treating it as some kind of low hanging cheap thing, then probably just not for you, right? Because the editor at the New York Fast company, they're not want to interview people who are leaders themselves. So I'll say for anyone out there who's afraid to say no, who's afraid to raise your business, if you are getting transformative results for people, you absolutely deserve to have boundaries and to say no, and be at a price point where you're attracting the people who are actually ready to see the version of themselves.
Yeah. And if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to believe in you, right? And that's why, my slogan for Modern Luxury Lounge is how do you treat yourself like a luxury brand? Because if you don't treat yourself like a luxury brand, no one else is going to. And like you're saying, like one thing I would challenge people to think about, with personal brand or PR, it is an investment. It's an expensive investment, in fact, because if you don't get this exposure, what else would you be doing? Would you rather hide your whole life and not get exposure, or or try to get it through word of mouth and just take forever? It is going to be an investment, but think about your ROI, your return on your investments. And that's going to be so much more. If you get more business, you get more exposure, you get higher level of collaboration, because that's what I've gained from being in like the press and stuff. More credibility, you get more high-end clients. What is that little investment in comparison to everything that you're going to gain from the little investment up front?
Yeah, but you have to be confident enough to actually seize it, because there's opportunities all around, right? Mm-hmm. Like for example, like when you started at zero, you had zero club followings. Now you're leading rooms with Tim Storey and Grant Cardone, and yesterday you were on an action like live video with him. You have to act from a future place from yourself. You might not feel like, oh my God, I'm quite there. Yes, you're kind of pushing the boundary of what's scary. You kind of step into something, and then the next thing, and then look at where you are now. And I say this on a masterclass is, people who succeed in this, using the CPR method, they're not the startups who have $5 million. Because I tell the same thing to the person who's making jewelry on Etsy in the garage and a fintech that has $40 million. I the same CPR method, but the difference, whether or not they actually think that actually get, they actually that they are a luxury brand. And so I think that embodied, because you're able to be in the room with huge, powerful 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs. And you're still there. You're like, I deserve to be here. I'm going to create this little space for myself. So if you have any mindset hacks, I can imagine it being very intimidating, being in those rooms with these like heavy hitters, not to mention men. How do you get yourself to like, hey, I do deserve to be here. I'm going to take up base.
Oh, I am so like, the more you do it, everything is just practice, right? I remember the first time Grant comes in my room, and I was like, oh my God, Grant's in my room. What the hell did I even do? But like, I've also worked when I was in New York and I worked in the luxury management, we've dealt with people from, Michelle Obama to like the prime minister. So I've been around celebrities and high power people a lot. And what I've realized is that we're actually all in the same level. There is no hierarchy. It's just like a perception. It's what really matters is that alignment. If you can just find something in common that you guys can really enjoy and align with, it just becomes the conversation. Like I'm saying, like what I was saying about the message, is the message and the impact that you make on one another that really builds that relationship. So I never see them as like, oh my God, Grant Cardone, this billionaire, or this person who's a 9-figure entrepreneur. I just see that we're all people who really, really have this motivation and drive to help other people, and really just get yourself out there. Do you know how many people that I have, have in my room, because they come in all the time? There's so many people that I get feedbacks. I loved your room. It was so amazing. And then there's people that are like, I don't know what that room is about. I didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. You got to keep doing you. You're never going to be ready. Ready is not a feeling. You're always going to have a fear. I have a fear for public speaking every single time I talk. Even before this, I told Emmy, I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And she's so used to it by now. She's like my emotional support by this time. But like, you are always going to feel this fear. You just have to tell yourself, this is normal. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable and say, I feel my fears, but I'm doing it anyway. And the more you do it, the more your mind is like, it was just like last time. I didn't die. I'm still here. So I'm going to do it again. If it, at the end of the day, honestly, you think people care? Nobody cares. Literally,
everyone's focused on themselves. This is an analogy that I have. My business is I imagine my success as this beautiful plant, right? Mm-hmm. And right now it might be like kind of like small and it's growing. Every time I do something scary, I'm adding water and fertilizer to that plant. So think about you do something scary, like pitching an editor, or being in a room, or getting into some DMs, or actually pressing that send button as watering your plant. That is the cultivation fertilizer, the water nutrients that you need to have your plant have strong and really grow and success tree that it is. Yeah. So that's kind of how I think. I might do something scary. I'm like, oh, there it is. I'm watering my plant now. So
let's do something. I do too, but I do it. So this thing that I have my clients do now too, it's like having this little jar and you have like a sticky note, and I have it on my other side, but it's like a confidence jar. Every single time you do something brave, you do something for the first time, you do something that makes you uncomfortable, you write it down, and then you throw it into that little confidence jar. And then if you ever feel this fear or you doubt yourself, go in there and grab like a few pieces and start reading all these things that you've accomplished that you didn't think was possible. And that gives you, it's like your fertilizer and you're watering your plant. Then next thing you realize, your jar is growing, your plant is growing. You know, you can make it an origami and make it into a plant or whatever you want to do, make it creative. And then you realize, like, we don't realize how much we have achieved until we reflect and be proud of ourselves. Treat yourself like a luxury brand and start celebrating.
Yes. Oh my God. Are literally like I'm sisters. I'm getting so much inspiration. Please let Jaylissa in the comments to know if you're enjoying this. I mean, how can you not? I feel so abundant just from talking to you. I have a feeling you're going to be on my podcast because I'm about to launch my own podcast too. This is great. So let's. I don't know if you're done with the slides. I'd love to take some questions because your time is very valuable, and I want to make sure that's everything. So if anyone has a question, not only Jaylissa, this is your chance, right? This is your chance where you don't have to be in the room with like 6,000 people trying to, get on stage. So
yeah, I'd love to have you in the room as well.
So I have some questions about like pay to play because, as I consider you an influencer more than me because, you're like, on Clubhouse and you have, a bigger social media following. You get out of those like get featured on this, or like how do you feel about the play things? I mean, is it just cost of doing business? Like I'm sure there's some collaborations you don't mind getting to do, right? Like how do you decide when to do to play opportunities?
Like me paying or them paying me?
Paying you.
Paying me. It really depends. It always goes back to my core values, right? What my personal brand is, what it stands for. I will never take on projects where I feel like it's out of alignment because that your core values, what your purpose, your goals are, that doesn't change. That is your standards and your boundaries. And so whoever, tries to step in, and it doesn't matter how much money they offer me, if it doesn't align with my brand, then I'm diluting it. If I'm not contributing to it, I'm subtracting away from it. So in order to build a strong brand, you really have to stay in integrity and knowing whatever that you end up working with will just keep expanding. So do you want it to expand in that sense, in that way? Do you agree with their values? Anytime someone approached me to work with them, whether it's podcast, whatever, I always ask them, what are the core values? I never ask them what the numbers is. I really don't care. But I really makes difference for me is what do you stand for? What are your values? What's your goal and your vision? If it aligns with me, I'm happy to do it, even if you have 0 followers. But if you have like 1 billion followers and you say, something that's not aligned with me, I will never, ever, that would be like jeopardizing my brand.
I love that you're such of integrity. Is there anything that we didn't cover, or like down to the fire here? We covered to talk about mindset. I mean, as you know this from talking to the 8, 9, 10, whatever figure entrepreneur, it's all about mindset. It's what you believe is possible for yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay, somebody said, okay, so Brooklyn, we're here to support you, Brooklyn. Brooklyn is getting real with us. She says, imposter syndrome is real for me. I'm definitely my own worst critique. Well, you are not alone, honey. Mm-hmm. We are with you on that. I'm sure even Oprah has that time. So there is no invisible, there's no like legal show that's like, to become confident, right? It's a spectrum. It's a continuum. We're constantly in flow. So, do whatever you can to kind of get into that more mindset. And remember, don't forget to your success truth, fear. Eat fear for breakfast, eat rejection for breakfast, right? That is how we build our business. So somebody said they may have missed the live, but how do you differentiate personal and business if you are a solopreneur? So like a solopreneur, right? So how do we differentiate that? We are our brand.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. Like the difference between your kind of like a business brand and personal brand. And I actually, so I split up my personal brand from my business brand recently because one, it just aligns with me more. And as my business is growing, I just wanted my business brand to be all about the community that I'm part of. I want to feature them. I want to edify them a little bit more versus my personal brand. It's really to get to know me more. So when I first started as a solopreneur is that I combined all of it because I didn't have have as much asset as I do now, the brand, the brand equity, what I called. So I kind of tie everything in, but 70% of it was all about me, because you really want to sell yourself. A lot of people are always talking about their product, always talking about their services. Do you know how many people are doing the same thing? But why people pick Gloria? You know, they like you for your personality, for you for your traits and characteristics versus other people. So really thinking about, you know, what is your story? Telling people how did you even end up doing what you're doing, what drove you here, is going to connect with more people, and that connection leads to conversion. So that's something that I really want people to remember is don't throw your product in your face. When's the last time you like being sold, right? But once you build that connection and relationship, you're like, I don't care. There's other people out there. I like this person, and I only want to work with this person. And that's it.
So somebody says business brand can outlast you depending on how you position it. What would you say to that?
Yeah. So there's business brand has, you know, this lifetime of however long you have this business for. And the really cool thing with business brand is that you can also exit out of it, right? So which is why I separated my brand, is that maybe one day I might exit out of it. I don't want to be completely attached to it, but just thinking about your personal brand is what funnels into your business brand. So a lot of my clients that I work with, they are involved with investment. They're involved with podcasts. They're involved with car dealerships. They're involved with authorships. And so all these things people don't know because they have all the separate business brand for each pillars that they have. But their personal brand is what feeds into it. So I wouldn't say like one's better than another. You always want to have both. But with the personal brand, it depends on how fast you want to grow, because how fast are you going to invest in a product or business, or how fast would you invest in a person? And by statistics right now, people are more likely to invest in people than they do with product. It's the people that they invest in first, like Elon Musk. And we believe in his vision, taking us to Mars, being more, environmental friendly. And then people start investing into Tesla, SpaceX, and all these different things.
And I will say that in this day and age, there's less room, like the legacy brands, like a Coca-Cola, or like now there's just so many different competitors that in order for you to have that longevity, you need to have a personal brand to your business. Because I think the days like Coca-Cola and like Microsoft, like it's just getting less and less, just less room for us to build brands like that. So I definitely think that you can have a business brand, but I don't think you have a business brand without a successful personal brand. That's I personally feel.
And personal brand is kind of like a newer thing, right? Because before it was like the power to the company and business. So that's why we might think it's outlasting. But personal brand, it wasn't a thing. So like really social media. So we don't have the time or the right statistics in order to really compare that. Because back then, companies and business is what sold. Now you see a lot of business and companies. Like I work with, Yosef Martin, and he is the CEO of Boxy Charm, and they just acquired Ipsy as well. And he has to stand, be in front of it to start promoting the business, because now everyone wants to know what they're buying into, but why. What is the purpose? What is the vision? What are they contributing into? When I buy this, who do I become? What do I stand for? They're looking more for the meaning. So even CEO of T-Mobile, John Legere, he's the same way. His brand is what blew up T-Mobile, because other than him being a CEO of T-Mobile, it's that he also does slow cooker Sundays. He does giveaways. He's a very giving person. He's very loving. And because people believe in him, they start investing more into T-Mobile.
Exactly. And I think when trying to get like high level investors, they're not investing in just your brand, they're investing from the person too. And I will say that now, as conscious consumers and BLM and all stuff, like I'm definitely looking at a company's record. Like, I'll tell you something. I've never eaten at Chick-fil-A, and I'm sure it's really delicious. But with all their homophobia and like if anyone loves Chick-fil-A, like I really want to go there.
Exactly. You
go to Chick-fil-A,
right? Because of their values. Exactly. So like even now, like, the things like JFK, MLK, like all those people have outlast. It's their message that really matters.
So Brooklyn has another question. When you separate your business brand, so for yourself, you separated, does that mean you are not the face brand?
So not necessarily. I am still the face of the brand, but however, like I always, how I funnel people is from personal brand. When I meet people, it's always through my personal brand. And then if they're interested, I always, incorporate my business brand into my personal brand. So then people who ends up being funneled into the business brand, I know they're more serious. They're not just following me because just so that they can connect with me. So in my business brand, I'm still very part of everything. I approve everything, but then there's always like another, community that I'm a part of that I want them to be a part of. So I'm a face of of my personal brand, and I'm still a face of my business brand, but I'm involving a lot more people. So then it becomes more about the message.
Awesome. Well, I mean that you had another to hop because you're a busy lady. So can you tell all of us how people find you? How can they connect you if they feel truly kind and to serve, which is what we're doing? How can they connect with you and more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just my name at Jaylissa Lea, JAYLISSALEA.
I'm gonna put that in here at
Mm-hmm.
Jaylissa Lea. Is it like this? Here, let me see.
Yes, that's correct. It's just my first.
Okay, cool. And what do you know? How can people join your brand, learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so I have a masterclass that I did, and for a limited time, whoever purchased the masterclass is going to be the link in my bio. It's very, very extensive. It's a little bit kind of like what we talked about, but more. It's like a 2-hour class, and I'm offering a brand audit to go with that to help you guys to implement some things that will get you started with your personal brand, because I know it's so overwhelming. When I first started, I was like, I don't know what to do. But if you have a strategy in place, you have a blueprint, you have kind of the step-by-step, you have more confidence, and you show up as a luxury brand, things will escalate a lot quicker than you imagine.
Yes. All right, let's give a round of applause, Alyssa. And let's do some this weekend. One fun thing, whether it's saying no, whether it's treating ourselves so that we can truly show up as a personal brand. Can I get a yes in the replay will be up. Invite your friends, tell everybody, let's get started. I feel luxurious just talking to you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I treat yourself like a luxury brand. I drink water out of a wine glass. That's what I do. It's these little things that makes you happy, and screw what everyone thinks. The more you do it, the more confidence you become.
Literally taking myself honeymoon to Greece. I was telling Emmy, I was like, I'm going alone with me, myself, and I am booking myself the whole jacuzzi with the rose petals because I am taking myself on a honeymoon. And I'm in a relationship, by the way.
Honeymoon.
Yeah, I'm going to Santorini and I'm going to Milos. I'm like booking my accommodation. I'm going alone and I'm so excited to spend time alone.
Oh, that's so sexy and juicy. I love it. I can't wait to hear all about it and watch you and follow you in your story.
Yes. Thanks so much, Alyssa. You have a weekend. Everyone, stay luxurious. Bye.
Yes, thank you.